Well, good morning everybody, and thank you for coming along to AFP headquarters at short notice. I thought it was important that we say a few words about the current ongoing operational activity, and let me say right up front for the record, the AFP always acts independently and acts within the law. Now, in relation to this particular investigation, it is ongoing, and while we're limited in what I can say, but there are a few matters I need to put on the record. Firstly, this matter was referred to us in December of 2015 by NBN Co, not by the government. It was referred to us by NBN Co. Since that time, we have been conducting an investigation, and as you saw yesterday, we executed a search warrant at an office in the Commonwealth Parliamentary Office in Melbourne. We also executed a search warrant at a private residence in Melbourne. As well as that, we spoke to a number of people. A number of interviews were conducted at NBN headquarters in Sydney. Now, this matter is ongoing. As you saw, the events overnight took some time and weren't concluded until the early hours of this morning. I want to address a couple of very specific comments that have been made overnight and again this morning, and I stress again that the AFP always acts independently and acts within the law. In regard to government and political influence that has been commented on this morning, there has been no influence on the AFP in the conduct of this investigation. In fact, the government first became aware of this investigation shortly after the commencement of the operational activity yesterday. Shortly after that, I also spoke to the opposition leader as a matter of courtesy to advise him that the AFP was conducting some operational activity. At the commencement of the operational activity, we also spoke to Senator Conroy. As you would understand, it related specifically to an office that he uses in Melbourne. So I want to be clear, we have acted independently here from government, and we have at all times advised the relevant parties as to the nature and the conduct of this investigation. I can also just make a couple of comments about the timing. Timing of these investigations is determined not by external factors, but by the progress of the investigation. Investigators follow the evidence and they take the steps necessary to conclude the investigation. We have always said that leak investigations are difficult investigations, and no two investigations are the same. In regard to this investigation though, we believe that the offending has been ongoing throughout the conduct of that investigation. And that plays into our mind in terms of the operational strategies that we have to employ for the investigation. So the timing is completely determined by the AFP. It's determined by the status and the progress of the investigation, not by any external factors and not by any government influence.
So, Commissioner, are you suggesting...
I'll get to questions in a moment, sorry. Can I also just make some comments about inferences and commentary that we have been very selective. I think it's well and truly on the public record now that we have a number of leak investigations, and some of those are in the public record and have been commented by yourselves a lot, others are not. But there has been no selective choosing of this particular investigation for this operational activity. And finally, and I will take some questions in a moment, in relation to aspects of privilege, I think it's important to alert you all that privilege has now been claimed, parliamentary privilege has now been claimed on the documents that were seized last night at both the Commonwealth Parliamentary Office and at the private residence. That is not something that we presuppose. That is something that needs to be claimed by the owners of the documents and by the occupiers of the premises. What will happen now, those documents are sealed, the AFP does not have access to those documents, they will be lodged in the Senate, and the process will be put into play by the Parliament to determine if parliamentary privilege is afforded to those documents. It is not necessarily the case that parliamentary privilege will be afforded to those documents. A process will be followed. I will take some questions. I will only take a few because, as I said, the matter is ongoing. But again, for the record, the AFP acts independently and has done on this occasion as well.
Just on timing, Commissioner, are you suggesting there that because offending has been ongoing, there have been multiple instances of leaks, including beyond December, which I think is referred to in the warrant?
Well, as I said, timing is determined by the investigation. The fact that the offending, we believe, has continued throughout this investigation, and I note that the investigation wasn't public, which has probably aided our investigation in many ways. That has helped us determine what our operational strategy is. Timing was determined by operational strategy, not by any external factors.
So are you saying that no one in the government was informed about the investigation, not just the raids before yesterday?
So if it hasn't been made clear before this point, let me be really clear. The government was first advised after this operational activity commenced. I then also spoke to the opposition leader and advised him. Before I advised the Minister for Justice and Customs, Senator Conroy was also advised at the time of the commencement of this investigation.
So was anyone in the government aware of the investigation before the operation took place?
No.
Commissioner, I think there are concerns in the Labor Party that officers may have seen at least one property sensitive campaign material. Can you rule out that possibility, or if they did, what has happened to any material they may have seen?
So I wasn't at the warrant, but I know that my officers operate professionally in all cases. They are there acting within the terms of the warrant, looking for documents that are specified in the warrant that lead to evidence for this investigation, evidence of this offending. Those documents are now subject to a professional privilege claim. They are sealed and we don't have access to them anymore. What my officers saw or didn't see during the conduct of those searches is irrelevant to the fact that they are looking for specific documents that relate to this investigation. My officers are professional. If there's other documents that they saw, that's irrelevant to them.
Was a staff member of NBN Co present as the search warrants were executed in Brunswick last night?
A staff member of NBN Co was present both at Brunswick and at the Commonwealth Parliamentary Office. That is a normal operational consideration for police when we're conducting search warrants. Those people do not search. What they are there for is to be shown documents that we believe might be relevant and to provide some expertise as to the authenticity and origin of those documents. That's all those people do.
Were they sworn in as special constables of the AFP?
No, they're not sworn as special constables. They are under the warrant as a constable assisting. That's a technical term under the warrant. They're not sworn in as special constables.
Why did the raids take, or the search take, until the early hours of this morning? Why so long?
No, that's a good question. They certainly did take quite a while. They are factors that are beyond our control. Often they relate to the intentions and wishes of the occupiers as to legal advice and process. A lot of that is out of our control.
Has telecommunications metadata been used in the investigation? And secondly, was anyone in the media tipped off about the raids by the AFP last night?
Well, let me deal with the first one. I'm not going to answer what operational tactics or strategies we've employed. You'll understand that. That second point is a really important one. I've seen the reporting and the inferences that the AFP has in some way tipped off media. I would be extremely disappointed if any member of the AFP has alerted the media. I am confident we have not alerted the media. However, my office has this morning had a conversation with the Integrity Commissioner and alerted them to the inferences of political bias and leaking, and I'll be referring that matter to our professional standards branch for them to investigate.
So you're worried about that? You're worried that people are tipping off the media and leaking?
No, what I'm worried about is inferences that the AFP has been politicised or has some way acted inappropriately. As I've said many times, we operate independent of government, we operate within the law, and our integrity is first and foremost.
You've mentioned the politicians who were contacted yesterday. Just to be clear, the relevant portfolio minister would be Senator Fifield. Would he, his department or his office have been aware at any point since December that this investigation was underway and that raids could have been...
No.
Was
Last question.
the referral treated with any additional degree of seriousness given that it came from NBN Co rather than it come from some other member of the public?
Look, we receive, as you know, and I think it's been well documented in Senate estimates processes and other areas, we receive leak investigations quite often from the government, from other departments, from members of the community, from companies such as NBN Co. We take them all seriously. We have to consider what our options are in terms of investigation of prospects. This matter was given no more or no less precedence or seriousness than any other matter. Thank you very much. Thank you.